Thanks so much for joining us on this Saturday, and each and every Saturday, sports schedules permitting, we have a feature called Ask the Expert, and today we're going to talk about a big topic and a scary topic for many parents and young people, and that is funding a college education. And Ron Ramsdell joins us in studio. And Ron, it's a pleasure to meet you.
It's my pleasure, Steve. Nice to be back here. Happy Saturday.
Yeah, let's talk about what you do and how you help people.
What we do for our families, we guide them through the financial aid process in the most efficient way possible, direct them in all aspects, whether it be completion of the financial aid forms. We'll talk about those coming up here. It's very important to discuss each individual form. Strategies to set their situation up in a better light to receive more financial aid, because there's financial strategies for many families that they can utilize. However, they're not aware of them. So basically, we're a full-service advisory service on college financial aid. We've been here in Minneapolis for 27 years.
Wow.
I started the organization back in 1990, I'm proud to say, and I have the wrinkles to prove it. So, no, it's just a feel-good business assisting families, because we end up sending kids to their dream school for an affordable price. And it's a feel-good business because, Steve, every year I get these thank you letters and cards, after the student graduates from college. Thank you, Mr. Ron or Mr. Ramsdell, thank you so much, was it for your organization? This never would have occurred for my son or daughter. So it's just, we're there for the full interest of the student getting into the best school for the best price.
All right, College Aid Consulting Services.
Correct.
Is the name of the organization. Yes. And the website?
morecollegemoney.com.
All right, very good. Let's start getting into this. And by the way, if you want to talk to Ron, you have a question about this complicated process of financing a college education, by all means, give us a call. The number is 651-989-9226. That is 651-989-9226. Or you can text 81807. Great way to go, 81807. And remember, those numbers are good for all our programs here at CCO. Ron, I have a daughter who's out of college and now in a working career. I have another one that's getting very close to the end of her college career down in Arizona. But along the way, we had some challenges. We saved some money. We did get some financial aid. There was some scholarships available. Thank goodness both daughters did well in high school, and some money was available. But this really is a complex picture. There are a lot of things at work. There are loans available. There's financial aid. There's grants. And I'm sure you walk people through all of that.
Yes. And speaking of loans, there's good loans and bad loans.
Okay.
So we'll talk loans here coming up because times have changed over the years. Normally, I advise families to first consider the federal loans. That was in the old days. Recently, things have changed a lot, and I always recommend the family set aside the Stafford loans or the federal loans and shop around for private loans at community banks, credit unions, even the larger banks. I had a client a couple months ago that retained, get this, a private education loan for his daughter, at 3.1%. And the federal loans are at around 5.7%. So see what I'm saying there? And regarding subsidized Stafford loans, you shouldn't discard those because they are subsidized.
Okay. Ron, before we get into loans, and I suppose loans kind of come at the end when you're trying to fill that gap. Where do you start? Looking for scholarships? Is that number one?
Oh, very good, Steve. Very good point. By the way, the educational system and the financial aid process, you say it's complex. I've been told by many people, and I concur with this, it's not only complex, but it's convoluted, it's unethical in some ways, it's not user-friendly for the average family trying to send their kid to a decent school. Even for the modest or lower income families, they're taken advantage of. I can go on, but scholarships, big mistake a lot of families make. Steve, let me ask you a quiz question for you. When do you think a student should start pursuing outside scholarships?
I would say junior year when they start looking at schools.
Yes. Yeah. Most families don't know that. Students start pursuing outside scholarships in the senior year. Big mistake. They lose out.
Yeah, and we were fortunate with both girls where they chose to go to school. They made it pretty clear on what scholarships were available. We hit the jackpot with our youngest because of a disability and some other circumstances. She got a great scholarship to go to the University of Arizona, and we're so grateful for the people that fund that. But we started looking early, but that's only because we had an older daughter and waited a little too long to look at some of these scholarships. And it's extraordinary, Ron. Scholarships come in all sorts of forms. There are local organizations. Maybe the local men's golf club has a scholarship.
Yes.
I mean, I'm sure you help people wade through all the scholarships that are available.
Well, yes and no. The bulk of our services for our family is pursuing need-based aid.
I see.
And more importantly, gift aid, grants, and some scholarships in there. But we do get involved with some outside scholarships. We've tracked. We have a list that we provide our students with free web-based sources for scholarships we tracked over the last 27 years that are beneficial. There's thousands of outside scholarship sources out there that are worthless, waste of time. But if you know where to look and how to pursue them, and if a family comes to us that we can't help them for the need-based side of things, we direct them to another organization that we found to be the best, available for students. So, yeah, start pursuing scholarships in the junior year. And I did a blog on this topic. And by the way, all my blogs are on our website at morecollegemoney.com. I did a blog on scholarships, and I listed the most common mistakes students make. The students, listeners that are listening right now, have them read that blog because those mistakes will discount them for a lot of free money.
All right. You've mentioned need-based.
Yes.
Here at the top. Let's get into that because that's one of the things you said at the top, that you help families navigate that part of the equation.
Yes. Need-based aid is based on 3 different formulas. FAFSA, as you all know, you fill out the FAFSA,
absolutely.
the free application for federal student aid. Somewhat user-friendly, sometimes not, because families volunteer too much information on that form. Okay, we got the federal methodology under the FAFSA, which is a mandated law. That's a mandated law, the FAFSA form. Then there's another form called the CSS Profile that a lot of private colleges will utilize. The CSS Profile is I just lost my train of thought. It's processed by the College Board, the same organization that does the PSAT and the SAT test.
Oh, sure.
The CSS Profile is an institutional-based form. If a college requires profile, that's the form they're going to utilize to determine need-based aid, and more specifically and more importantly, gift aid, grant money. There's 2 formulas, not to confuse you, but families need to know this, especially when they're pursuing these private schools that want the profile. There's 2 different formulas. One is called the institutional methodology. The other is the consensus methodology. 2 different formulas, but both pertaining to FAFSA. Again, the colleges that require profile, that's the single most important form to be concerned with. Because it is institutional based, the profile is going to ask for more personal information. They're going to try to assess retirement plans, home equity. They nitpick. They even ask you, families, what kind of cars they drive. But some of this information you don't have to disclose. But
yeah, and I do remember some of that in that process because my oldest daughter went to a private school, and it was kind of like, where's your 401k at, and how much do you owe on your home, and
did you complete the profile form? Did you answer all the questions on that form?
Probably.
Yeah,
it's been a while now.
Okay, you made some mistakes.
Yeah.
But families don't know that. But
you help folks with that.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. Yeah, we complete all the forms for the families. Third possible form, the college's own institutional form. Some colleges don't require profile. They have their own institutional form. Again, institutional based, not mandated like FAFSA. I hope I didn't confuse the listeners, but
but those forms up front can be daunting. I remember the first time we attacked the FAFSA, it was like, wow.
Well, profile too.
Yeah, absolutely. Those forms are complex, and you're digging into your tax returns and all sorts of things, and you help people navigate that.
Yeah, we take basically what we do for our families, we take everything off their table and doing it for them, guiding through the process in the most efficient way possible, like I mentioned earlier. yes, our focus on saving our families money, but we also save them a lot of time and a lot of hassles in the process. Families, if they don't retain a proven expert, if they're going to do going through the process right, they're going to need to invest a lot of hours investigating the process of what they're up against. And also, too, we provide our families an insurance policy that everything is being done properly for them. So it's kind of load off a lot of people's minds. So,
all right. Well, we've got more with Ron coming up. By the way, the founder of College Age Consulting Services, Ron Ramsdell, joining us in studio. And here are the phone numbers if you want to talk to Ron about need-based financial aid, scholarships, all of those sorts of things that go into funding a college education. By all means, call the program 651-989-9226, 651-989-9226. You can text 81807. That is 81807 here on the CCO. 224, here it is, our Ask the Expert Hour. Here on CCO, and are pleased to be joined by the founder of College Aid Consulting Services, and Ron Ramsdell is in studio. And we should point out the phone number is 651-989-9226. You can text 81807. That is 81807. And Ron, we have a couple of texts here we want to get to. First of all, we had a student go to a private school here in the state of Minnesota, and we took out a PLUS loan and didn't realize that the responsibility for that loan is on the parents.
That's
Yeah.
PLUS loans is not need-based. Well, it is, but it's not. But here's the thing. That's a parent loan. Yeah. What a lot of colleges do to make the financial aid offer look better is they load up in that PLUS loan into the package, so it makes it look like you're getting more financial aid.
Right.
The PLUS loan should be the family's very last resort. And by the way, speaking of financial aid packages, the majority of packages coming back to families and even our clients, they're shortchanging the families, and they don't know it. So I've dealt with all these four-year state universities and private colleges over the last 27 years, and I know what they can do, what they won't do, and what they can do and what they won't do. I mean, but families don't know if it's a fair award or not. But what a lot of colleges do, again, they stick in that PLUS loan, and the PLUS loan eligibility is the full remainder of the amount after they award, the scholarships, grants, and the subsidized loans. Any balance, the unmet need is the qualification of the amount for a PLUS. But families shouldn't go that direction if they an
absolute last resort.
Exactly.
That there are better options when it comes
Big
to
time.
loans. You had mentioned earlier, there are private loans that offer better terms.
Yes, most definitely.
If you need to get to that
Shop
point.
around.
Before we have a CBS News update on the marches around the country and around the world today, protesting gun violence. That's coming up at 2:31, and then we'll have an update on the weather and then more with Ron. Let's get in more to need analysis. All these forms. You talked about the FAFSA and other forms that you work with families on. Then beyond that, it gets into need analysis. How does all of that work?
Need analysis of formula under one of the three methodologies, again, federal methodology, institution methodology, and the consensus methodology. Need analysis, and this is on our website. The colleges take the total college costs, subtracting a number called the expected family contribution. Expected family contribution under FAFSA is the expected family contribution. Under the CSS Profile, under the consensus methodology and the institution methodology, it's called the estimated family contribution. So you take the total college cost, subtracting one of those EFC calcs, equates to the need. The need is the amount, is the obligation of the families, to fill. So the more, or actually the lower the EFC, the more financial need. The more the financial need, the better the financial aid award, or should be in a perfect world.
So in other words, if you're going to a private school and tuition, room, and board is $50,000, a round number, what you're trying to do is to get that family contribution down as low as you can.
Yes, exactly, which equates to more need. Now we say $50,000, Oh, that's a beautiful number. No more at these private schools. We're talking now 80 plus for the next upcoming academic year, some of these colleges. For the total college cost, yes, coming up. And by the time we get to 2020, we're six figures plus for 1 year at these private colleges.
So understanding the need analysis is a big part of that. Now, when you fill out these forms, you want to be truthful, but it gets back to something you said. It's here information that you don't have to.
Right.
Is that?
Can I throw an example?
Sure.
On the profile, one of the questions is, what is the total value of your 401ks, 403b, SEPs, IRAs, and such? First of all, they're asking for a full amount of retirement plan, and I've discussed this with financial administrators around the United States for the last so many years. Why are you trying to assess our retirement plans where it was not set aside for educational purposes? Moreover, dear college, the federal law governing all financial aid in the United States is not assessing our retirement plans. So why are you? So that's an example.
So that's one of those things you really don't, by law, need to include that.
Yes. I mean, there's a couple different options on the answers, but you don't want to put a full amount down there. It just, and also too, they're asking for information regarding automobiles and all these.
Yeah. So in other words, it's getting help in this sort of thing can certainly pay dividends. We'll have more with Ron coming up. We have an update momentarily. When we come back, still more to talk about. What forms do the aid take? And we'll go to the phone lines. By the way, our number is 651-989-9226, or you can text 81807. That's 81807 here at CCO. And once again, we're pleased to be joined by Ron Ramsdell, founder and president of College Aid Consulting Services. And the big picture, that big ticket item, funding a college education in the spotlight here on Ask the Expert. It is 38 degrees. It's breezy. East winds at 16 here at CCO. We'll have more on the weather in a moment. But first, let's go to CBS News for an update at 2:31. 2:37, 23 minutes in front of 3. It's our Ask the Expert hour. And, of course, sports schedules permitting. Speaking of sports, later today, it'll be the Timberwolves and the 76ers from Philadelphia. Our pregame show at 4:30 and the tip at 5 o'clock. John Folke and Alan Horton here on the home of the Wolves. Pleased to be joined by Ron Ramsdell. He is the founder of College Aid Consulting Services, website morecollegemoney.com. And we invite your calls. If you have a question about financing a college education for a child or a grandchild, by all means, give us a jingle, 651-989-9226, or text 81807. That is 81807. From the text line, I think to boil it down, what's in it for Ron? What's in it for your firm in all of this? How does your fee structure work?
Sorry about that. I didn't have my mic on. Shame on me. And by the way, go Wolves.
Yeah.
Our fee is a flat fee. It's currently $12.50. Covers all the services listed on the website. Completion of all financial aid forms, financial aids or financial strategies. Another part of our service is families. Many families don't know this, but they have the right to negotiate and or appeal their initial offer. And families who know that they can do that sometimes don't know how to do it efficiently. So that's another part of our service. If I feel the initial offer from any individual college could do better, we'll go into a negotiation stage with them. And that for most of our families, they come up with more money based on that initial offer.
So, Ron, ideally, you want to work with people maybe in their junior year when they're starting to work at schools. You don't really get involved because my sense in helping my daughter select a school, and my youngest, she wanted to get out of town. She wanted to go somewhere warm. We visited schools in Arizona and California. She selected the University of Arizona. It's been a great fit for her. It needs to be a fit. And then once a family student narrows it down to a school or two, is that when you start working with the young people and the families?
Well, actually, no, before that, because another part of our service is that we do, based on the student's academic profile, we'll come up with good college matches for them that they've never considered. And
schools that could be a good fit.
Yes. And a lot of times, I love this. We do a really good job with this. A lot of times where some of our families have retained an academic expert, they came up with a list of colleges for the student.
Sure.
Then we did. Sometimes we come up with colleges that the other person did not. They end up visiting the website, take the little virtual tour, end up visiting the campus. They love it. They end up going there. So, and regarding schools and how many schools to apply to and how to apply to schools, my recommendation for students is to apply to a minimum of 6 different schools, if not more. Steve, it's a numbers game. I call it a numbers game because the more colleges a student applies to, the more they're accepted to. The more they're accepted to, the more financial aid offers they're going to have spread on their kitchen table in the springtime. And some of these awards are better than ones that the student is leaning towards going to, and you can use those awards as leverage to get other colleges to do better for the student. Again, apply to as many colleges as possible. And then sometimes I get from my parents, Ron, all these admission fees, they're going to add up. I said, not necessarily. You can get some of these colleges to waive the application fee. So our clients apply to 6 to 8 on average. We had a young lady last year apply to 26.
Wow!
But it worked out for her.
Sure.
She had the time. She went at it. She was focused. She started early in the process. So most of our clients now that we take on are sophomores and juniors in high school. And again, outside scholarships, kids or young ladies and men, apply for those starting in the junior year. Please don't miss out. That's free money.
All right, so let's start there. I think this is a very important. When should people get started? Junior year, start of their junior year in high school, back it up even further, maybe the summer before their junior year. What do you recommend, Ron? What's an ideal time for families and young people to get started on not only selecting a school but financing that choice?
Oh, exactly. Sophomore, juniors in high school.
Okay.
That's, yeah. Yeah, I mean, we have some clients that we take on that are, have kids in 9th grade, but most of them are right now 10th and 11th grade.
Yeah, and there is tremendous competition among these schools. Don't kid yourself.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Especially among the private schools. And I'd like you to speak to that a little bit, that the public schools and the private schools want your young person. They need your young person to enroll, especially these private schools. There is tremendous competition for young people to get in, but they are also competing against other schools.
Yes, and with that said, Steve, we've been seeing that enrollment now at some of these colleges are decreasing as time goes on, just for different factors. The major one is the cost of the education at the schools. Some of our clients, their kids will end up for the first year, second year, depending upon the situation, at a community college. Now, we're blessed here in the Twin Cities or in Minnesota and also around certain parts of the country. There are very good quality community colleges that could be a fallback for the first or second year where they can transfer all their credits to a 4-year state or private school. So the cost of education, and as I stated earlier, is going up every year, and it's going to, some families can't do it.
And will you work with families on these options and take a look at maybe going the community college route the first couple of years and then maybe transferring those credits to another institution down the road? I would assume you consult folks on all of those.
Yeah, I mean, if the student is going to end up at a state or private college in the second, third, fourth year, yes, we could be a benefit to them. So families, again, don't discount community colleges. I know some kids out there, they cringe at, they want to go to a 4-year, state school, 4-year, prestigious private college, but some families just can't cut it with the total cost, that they're up against.
Now, when it gets down to it, we've talked a lot about financing this thing, and I'm sure when you started this 27 years ago, to now here in 2018, I would say the cost of a college education has gone up a little bit. It's unbelievable.
It is.
Really.
I don't know how some these families can cut it. Yeah, I've seen everything. Listeners out there, some of them are probably wondering why the cost of education keeps on going up.
Right.
There's there's 3 or 4 or 5 good answers there, but the main one, and it's somewhat political, I'm not going to get into politics here, is the creation of the Department of Education years ago. The more financial aid from the feds available, the more the colleges can raise their costs. And, so what I'm saying, that's part of it.
There's a bigger pot of money out there, and
yes.
They all wanted a bigger chunk of it. At some point, though, is there a fear that the marketplace just won't bear the cost?
Possibly.
That at some point in time, it's just going to be out of reach because there's so much in the headlines, and I know you help with this, is reducing the total amount of loans that a young person needs to take out, or their family, to finance that education. Right now, kids are coming out of school with huge debt loads, and you work to mitigate that. Exactly.
That's another good point, Steve. I feel bad for students now in this era. These students are graduating with huge amounts of debt, and they end up in their job out of college flipping burgers because the workplace, the career opportunities is not as it was years ago. So now they're living with mom and dad in the basement with all this debt, trying to catch up. It's tough out there for these young adults.
All right. Let's get into a how-to list. And this has come in on the text line. We talked about when to get started. Maybe when this kid is born, should the parents start with setting money aside? There's these college savings plans. What are your thoughts on some of those?
Steve, you're a savvy person. Yeah, exactly. Once that little kid pops out, within the first 2 to 3 months, start saving right then and there if you want your kid to go to a good school or if they deserve to go to good school at that, when they get to that age. Most definitely. Start saving immediately. And regarding saving for the kid, good avenue, a good vehicle is a 529. However, start saving in the parent's name, not the student's name. One of the unethical, unfair aspects of the financial aid formulas is that they're assessing students' assets and income much higher than the parents. So save in the parent's name. Same thing with UTMAs or UGMAs. It's a student asset.
What are those?
They're trust funds.
I see.
Uniform Trust to Minors Act. Uniform Get to Minors Act. It's a student trust. Not recommended. Save in the parent's name.
So it's one of those things that for being responsible and saving early and setting money aside and having that paper out and setting it aside for college, when it comes to getting aid, could be a detriment if it's in the student's name.
Yes. Oh, most definitely. Yeah. They're assessing students' assets at 50% as opposed to parents' assets around 5.3, 5.4%.
Okay.
Big difference. It raises a student, for example, a student's asset at $10,000. They're going to raise that EFC calc by $5,000. Or let's say $50,000 in a trust. Take 50%, $25,000, going to raise the family contribution by that much. Therefore, $25,000 less of financial aid eligibility. Make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer.
All right. We've got more with Ron coming up. We have some more texts coming in. Time for a quick call or two before the end of our time with Ron today. Once again, Ron Ramsdell in studio, the founder of College Aid Consulting Services, the website morecollegemoney.com, and we'll have more with Ron on that big ticket item, financing a college education, and that'll continue in a moment here on CCO. Thanks so much for joining us. It's our Ask the Expert Hour, and we're pleased to be joined by Ron Ramsdell, founder president of College Age Consulting Services. We'll give you the website one more time before we say goodbye here on CCO. Our time has gone all too quick. We'll have kind of a summary of what we talked about with Ron before we say goodbye. Let's go to Lois. Lois, you're on the air with Ron. Hello.
Yes, how do you contact you? College Aid Consulting.
Yes.
And where?
Yeah, we have a website, Lois.
Yeah, either morecollegemoney.com or our phone number is 612-929-2600.
And we'll have those numbers again and that website before the end of the program. One of the themes I've been getting on the text line is this thing. There's some people believe that, it's not mom and dad's job to save money for college. And I thought I would bring that up. But this is a big ticket item. And we touched on it a moment ago. A lot of young people want to go to college, want to get that college education and leave school with a mountain of debt. And that's where you step in and where mom and dad can be a big help.
Yeah. Regarding the comment there on the text that it's the students' 100% responsibility. Everybody's different. In my opinion, that's bad. It's bad advice, bad train of thought. Because if that is the case with a family, the parents say, "Hey, son,
you're on your own.
You're on your own." So what happens is a son, he works his tail off. 2-3 years up. Before he goes to college, starts saving. Well, it's going to go against him. Again, they're assessing students' income and assets much higher than the parents. I think the parents should be involved to a certain extent. However, we have some families, parents, that don't get their kids involved financially for their education. I think that's a big mistake and my advice is you want to get their kid involved financially, have them responsible for a plan because they're going to take more value in their education. They're not going to be partying as much. They're going to take their grade level, their studies, their work ethics more seriously as opposed to letting mom and dad flip the bill. Especially at these elite private schools, kids go out. They're partying every weekend. They're studying to a certain extent. They're getting by. They're getting good grades, but they're partying. They're not taking it seriously, and that's why you want the kid to be involved financially.
All right, Ron. Before we run out of time, we've only got a couple of minutes left. Let's get into some of the highlights in the to-do. Start early is number one, isn't it?
Yes, most definitely, big time. That's very important.
Yeah, and probably with the complexity of the forms, work with someone like you and help plan this out. And it's probably worth it to go that route.
Well, it's going to save families a lot of time and aggravation in the process. They're going to know they're getting a fair award because most of these parents, when they get these initial offers from these colleges, they don't know if it's a fair award or not. And they don't know the financial strategies up front where they can utilize to lower their EFC calculation. And again, apply to as many schools as possible. Campus visits are very important. You want to take campus visits as many as possible. Students should be applying to, many colleges as possible. Some reach colleges, some safety schools, some state schools, some private schools, a little bit of everything. And
keep your options open.
Yes, exactly. You want to fall back for the first year of that. If financials is going to be an important situation, then you want fallbacks here. And as far as campus visits, I did 3 blogs on campus visits. Again, my blog's on our website, and I did a really great blog on what not to do and what to do on these campus visits. Because you want the experience to be fun. And also, too, I've been told by many of my students, they go, Ron, you're right. Once the kid sets foot on that campus, most of the time they're going to know, I like it, I love it, or I don't like it, I hate it.
Right, yeah.
And so you need a visit. But first things first, most of these colleges have a little virtual tour on their websites. Hit their websites first, and then plan ahead. Again, you don't want to rush the process. You don't want to be visiting these campuses in the senior year of high school. You want to start in, sophomore, junior year.
All right. Get a feel for it. Get some help along the way. Ron, in our time remaining, what's the website again? How do people reach you?
Yes, morecollegemoney.com. Our office number is 612-929-2600. And we're located in Minneapolis, right on the beautiful north side of Lake Calhoun.
And you've been around a while, 27 years.
Look at these wrinkles.
There you go. All right. Great to meet you, Ron. Thanks for coming in today. A pleasure to visit with you. Learned a lot. Start early, sophomore, junior year at the latest. Start your journey toward planning financially and selecting a college. Once again, Ron Ramsdell, founder of College Aid Consulting Services joining us here at CCO. We've got all the news and weather at 3. Then we'll get started on a Sports Saturday. Eric Nelson joins me in studio. Timberwolves and Sixers from Philly at 4:30. They're on News Radio 830 WCCO.